If we want to test to see whether these two groups have statistically significantly different means, we can conduct a t-test in Excel. I don't think I actually need the whiteboard for this either. So Excel has a function that's called t.test. And so find an empty cell and you can type in equals t.test. Open your parentheses, click and drag your first group, put a comma, and then click and drag your second group. And now I gotta double check. I don't remember what parameter comes next. So we'll go to Google t-test Excel parameters. Because then one of the arguments has to be hitting the number of tails, and then one of them is whether they are a paired test or not, and I'll explain those. But so it says tails is the next parameter. That's the next number after the second comma. So tails depends on how many. It depends on your null and alternative hypothesis. So in other words, are you trying to test to see whether these two groups are different? If you are, different doesn't say less than or greater than. It could be either one. That's a two-tailed test. Okay. So if I'm trying to test to see whether these two groups are just different, then I'd put in a 2 here. I'd put in a 1 if I was asked to test the hypothesis that one was greater than the other. So that would be a one-tailed test. It look like this one. Okay. So it depends on what you're being asked to do. I'll do it for a two-tailed test, but if you're asked to test whether one mean is less than the other mean, then you've got a one-tailed test in your hands. And then type was the last one. So I think type is 1 is paired and 2 is two sample equal variance, 3 is two sample unequal variance. So you choose 1 for this last parameter if it's paired data. And the way you can know whether it's paired data is just by looking at the numbers. Well, first, making sure that you have an equal number in the first group as in the second group. If you don't, you can automatically rule it out that it's paired. This data isn't paired. Okay, because paired data would be like you bring students into so you test like 16 students, you bring them into a class, you give them a new educational program, and then you test them after. What you're doing is you're pairing the results, the before and the after. Or I guess with medicine, you give somebody a certain treatment, you test somebody's like blood sugar levels or something like that. You give them a treatment and then you test their blood sugar levels after. That's paired data. So this is not paired data. 2 is when you assume that the variances are equal. So if you're taking data in your two columns that are from the same population, you might want to assume that the underlying variances of the two groups are equal. That's a tough assumption to make. You can test that assumption by calculating the standard deviation of both columns, and then if your sample standard deviations are close, then you might want to go with option 2. But to be conservative, if you're not sure whether they're equal, you want to go with option 3, which is a t-test when we assume that the variances are not equal in the two populations. Okay, there's population data here. If we gave this medicine to everyone in the everyone on the planet, and then we were able to measure their blood pressure, we'd have population data. We don't know though, and we don't know whether the medicine causes these people to have a different variance. Right. So I'm assuming no. Then I'm assuming that the two variances of the two groups are not equal. So I'm using option 3. So that's all the parameters. What it gives you is a p-value. Okay. And if you need help interpreting a p-value is the probability that you got this test statistic given that the null hypothesis is true. And that's a mouthful for intro stats students, people who have never taken stats before. So what that means is you got a test statistic. The test statistic, if it's t or if it's z, it's centered at 0. And you got a p-value of 0.31. That means that's how much area is in your tails. You got roughly 15% in the left tail, 15% in the right tail, because mine's a two-tailed test. Okay, so it's saying that you have a roughly 31% chance of getting these results given that we're assuming that there's no effect, that the null hypothesis is true. Okay, that's relatively high, right? If an event happened and you were told there was a 31% chance that it was happening, you'd say, okay, that's not out of the ordinary. We can't make any sort of conclusion. But if some event happened and then you were told, hey, there's only a 2% chance that event could have happened, you would say, whoa, that it's probably likely that something different's going on here. Okay. So the p-value tells the probability roughly that the null hypothesis is true based on your results. Okay. 30% is high, so we can't reject the null hypothesis because it's relatively likely. Okay. there's no one hard cutoff. Usually 0.05 is used, but it depends on how sure you want to be of your results. So if I got a p-value of 0.02 instead, I would say, hey, group 1 and group 2 have statistically significantly different means because there's only a 2% chance that we got this data by random chance, assuming that the two groups actually had the same mean. So that's pointing to the likelihood being that they don't have the same mean.